Our amazing speaker is a woman who I've known for quite some time, and she has been able to provide a lot of us with some outstanding content about how we can rearrange our lives and position ourselves. But outside of that, she is a journalist. I see everything from her every week, good on social media, and also has written a number of books and has a major nonprofit that just celebrated its 12th year, right? Forgiving for Living. And so with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Wendy now because you want to hear what she has to say. All right.
Hi, Renee. Thank you so much for having me as your guest today. It's such a pleasure. I've always admired all of the things that you do and the way that you help us women to be better. So thank you. Good. So today I want to talk with all of the wonderful women that are part of your network about what is your season of greatness and what does that mean and how are we going to learn a little bit today about that. So I want to encourage everyone to pull out a pad, pull out a pen, because I hope to give you some nuggets that you can take away with you that you can kind of refer back to from time to time and help you on your journey. You know, people have often asked me, Wendy, where did you come up with that and why the name Season of Greatness? And for me, I kind of took it all the way back to my childhood. You know, as a child, I went through a lot of different changes. I actually came from a broken home, and I experienced a lot of different things that most children should never have to experience. And because of that, I had some brokenness inside of me. And over the years, I've shared my testimony and my story with different people, and I've also been a keynote speaker and a motivational speaker for years. And what I've learned is there are actually a lot of people, especially women, that have suffered from some brokenness in their lives in one way or another. But you know what else I've also learned? We also know and have a good way of covering it up in terms of the way that we package ourselves. Oftentimes, we package ourselves so beautifully. We can have the best hairdos, we can have the best outfits, we can have the best jewelry, and we can even have the best shoes, because you know we love shoes. But you know what? Just like a package that has a pretty bow on it, but inside has something that's made of glass, sometimes we can be broken, especially if that box has been thrown around and dropped and, you know, you don't know it yet because, again, you're looking at the bow. But once you open that box, and you begin to look at the pieces that are inside, we see different pieces that are broken, and we don't even always know how to put it back together. Well, I experienced that as a child and as a young person. Let's even go back to high school a little bit. I was very popular. I was a head varsity cheerleader. I was also homecoming queen and all those kinds of things, but people didn't know that I still had a brokenness inside me. And over time, and as I grew and became an adult and entered into adulthood, I even experienced more brokenness. I went through some broken relationships. I experienced divorce. And you know what's interesting? I learned I'm not alone. I've learned that there are other women that have experienced, if not all, some of these same issues. But yet they want to know, how do I get to the other side? So as I continued and started to kind of navigate and look at my life, people still continued to see me as pretty much successful. I've owned my own business for over a quarter of a century, and I've done well, and I've done good. But I woke up a few years ago, and I asked myself, am I really being my best self? Am I really doing all that I can do to be all that I am supposed to be? And when I answered that question, the answer was no. So I'd been doing good, but not great. And I wanted to know what it was like to be great, because I think all of us have greatness inside of us. What did Muhammad Ali always say? He is the greatest. Well, I think all of us have something inside of us where we're meant to be great. But what I had to learn was, in order to be great, I had to raise my expectations. I think you might be able to understand that and relate to that, because we can get very happy with status quo. We can get very happy with, well, you know, I'm able to pay the bills. I'm able to, you know, navigate things and travel a little bit and keep everything up. And I don't look too bad, even though I'm getting older. Okay, yeah, my kids are doing fine. But are we really stopping and realizing, what does it mean to be our best selves? And are we willing to put in the work? Because with everything, it takes work. And I said, you know what? I want to put together something that helps me and the women that I get to work with to understand what it means to be their best selves. So as I was working on and putting together what came to me as known as Season of Greatness, and don't get me wrong, I think that we can have multiple seasons of goodness that can be great. But I think with time and as we mature and as we settle into who, we are supposed to be, that greatness will evolve and will become better. And sometimes some things we don't even realize until we get onto the other side. But what experience in life has taught me is that there are three things. There's three things that when you learn it, so again, grab your pen and paper, because there are three things that I believe when you get to understand will make all the difference in the world. And those three things are, number one, your meaning. You have to understand your meaning. Why are you even here? Why do you get up every day? What motivates you to do the things that you do? Otherwise, it'll be like a broken record that goes around and around and around, and you're not really making progress. You're just getting up and going through your day. So you have to learn your meaning. Number two, once you understand your meaning, it helps you to develop your message, which basically is what you say and what you do. Because now you have some understanding of why you're here, why you get up every day, and what you need to accomplish. All right, number three, you know your meaning, you know your message, so what does that mean? It means that you will carry out your mission. And your mission is really just your purpose. So your 3 points are meaning, message, mission. And once you know your purpose, life really gets to be a lot better. And it doesn't mean it's going to be perfect. It doesn't mean that it's going to be easy. But it'll be, I would say, more joyful of getting up every day because you now have a path to follow, that you know that you have a destination and you can enjoy the journey. Because sometimes people only deal with a destination, but you want to enjoy the journey as well. So what I've learned is sometimes we have to understand all of the pieces. Remember I was telling you about the brokenness. We have to understand why we've experienced certain things. What do we do with those pieces? How do we pull it and bring it all together? And then when we combine that with also understanding the things that we're successful at, it helps us to get onto our journey of our season of greatness. I often tell this story when I'm sharing all about Season of Greatness. Many years ago, when I was in my 20s and I'm now in my 50s, I was a part of an organization, and we went around the table, and the women were talking about what are your gifts? What are your talents? And the ladies often would say to me, Wendy, you know what your gifts and talents are? You have the gift of encouragement and hospitality. And I had to stop and think, what kind of gift is that? What can you do with that? How do I do anything from a professional standpoint with understanding encouragement and hospitality? Well, you know what? It's funny because today in my life, 30-something years later from when I was told that, that's exactly what my life is all about. I encourage people to do their best, to be their best, and I love the gift of hospitality, whether it's opening up my home or whether it's, bringing something beautiful to someone and being hospitable. So again, as we begin to explore the season of greatness for you, and I'm going to give you 11 steps with that, think about what are your gifts? What are you good at? What comes naturally? And I know that you've heard that probably many times over your lifetime and over the years, but it's so true that your gift will make room for you. And when you're really good at it, now it doesn't mean that you shouldn't stop and perfect your craft, because we all should do that. But there's things that are innate inside of us that we're really good at. Don't run from those. Don't try to get in another lane. As I would tell my children all the time, just stay in your lane. Because when you stay in your lane, then you will do very well and be successful and end up winning and becoming the greatest that you can be given your talents. So stop and think about that for a moment. Write it down. What are some of your gifts? What are some of your talents? What do people always tell you that you're good at? What do people always say that when they think of you, they think of this or they think of that? So, for example, under the hospitality, I love to send notes. I love to send cards. And so what I always do is I try to send people just a nice handwritten note. Because why? That's a form of encouragement and hospitality. And what's interesting is in the world of technology today, oftentimes that gets overlooked. People forget to do that. So again, I encourage you to stop and look at what are the things that you enjoy and that you do every day as you begin to search for your season of greatness. And again, what are those three things that you're going to remember? Your meaning, your message, and your mission. And all that should tie into your gifts and hospitality. I'm sorry, your gifts and your talents, which of course mine is hospitality. All right, get that pen and paper out again. I have 11 points that I want to share with you about season of greatness. The first one is you have to be aware of your season. And what I mean by that is a young woman, say in her 20s or early 30s, and nowadays all through your 30s, whatever age you may be, but let's say you're starting your family. You're building your home. You're building your relationship with your partner and all the things that you're doing. You may not have the same expectations, or you may not even have the same goals as a woman who's retired, almost close to retiring, or retired, or further along in her career. So you have to be aware of your seasons. The things that were important to me when I was a young mother are very different to me today than as I'm in my 50s and exploring new things and new doors are being opened. So think about that. Be aware. And because oftentimes when your expectations are not in line with where you are, you can get very frustrated. And you can also get where you lose hope. And you don't want to lose hope. You don't want to do that. So be aware of that. It's very, very important. Number 2, you also have to learn to accept when it's the end of a season. So the first one is be aware of your season. Number 2 is know when it's the end of a season. Sometimes it's time for us to let some things go. And in order for new things to be able to come in the door for you, you have to be able to let some things go. Otherwise, you're going to be crowded. You're not going to be able to get it all done. You're not going to be able to be your best because you're trying to hold on to too much. You have to learn how to streamline, let some things go, and know how to start your new season. Number 3. Remember what I was telling you about the 3 points earlier about meaning, message, and mission? Well, here, your third point is purpose. You have to know your purpose. When you know your purpose, it puts you on the right track for your season of greatness. Because if you don't even know your purpose, again, you don't, as they say, if you don't know where you're going, any road to get you there, same thing. If you don't know your purpose, you'll end up in so many different places and things, and you won't even understand how did you even get there. So be mindful of that. Number 4, explore new ideas and opportunities. I believe that exposure is something that is very important, and it's a big deal. An example of that for me is when I was in my 20s and I was a young mother, and I used to do a lot of volunteer work. And somebody came up to me and wanted to hire me to do an event. And event planning is how I started with my business over 25 years ago. Did you know I didn't even know that people got paid to do events? Because I was not exposed to that. I had done volunteer work, and of course everybody loves free labor. So how did I know that a person could get paid for what I was doing? I went to school to go into politics, actually. My degree was in political science, and I'd worked in Washington, D.C. on the Hill and had done some other things. And so when I was doing events, it was just part of my give back to community and to help and to be involved to help charities that I supported. Well, when I got that call where someone wanted to hire me, it opened up a whole new world for me and a whole new avenue. And again, how to tie back in those 3 things, my meaning, my message, and my mission. It used my gifts of hospitality and encouragement, and of course some other things as well that you have to learn when you're doing event planning. But the point that I want to make is open yourself up to being exposed to different things, because in that you may find something that really fits all the other aspects of your life that you enjoy doing. Number 5, always maintain an attitude of gratitude. When you're building and as you're going through life, and when you really stop and pause and see what so many other people are going through, you'll stop to realize that life's not as bad as you thought. It's not as bad as it could be. And when you have an attitude of gratitude where you see the glass half full versus half empty, that's contagious. And other people will want to be around you. And it will get you through some dark times as well, because we all have days where we're not feeling that great. And we have to figure out, okay, how do I get to the other side? Start with gratitude, because gratitude makes a big difference. Number 6, learn how to receive with grace and humility. Because again, as you're going through your season of greatness, you will have some times when you really need help. You're trying to figure it all out. And if you're not kind, compassionate, doing things for people in a gracious manner, and even when people are wanting to help you, be grateful and be gracious as well, because nobody owes you anything. And you'd be surprised that sometimes as you're on your way up, you may have some times where you come back down and you might just need some more help. So be gracious and be humble along the entire path as you're reaching your season of greatness. Number 6, also learn how to receive with grace. I'm sorry, that's what I just said. Number 7, speak your truth. This is a big one for me. Speak your truth, because what I've learned, especially the older you get, and I think the younger you are that you get this, the easier it's going to be for you. And that is, you don't always have to be quiet about certain things. If you really believe in something, or if you really believe that something's wrong, or that by you speaking up can really make a good and a positive difference, speak your truth. Don't be afraid of that. And sometimes, whether it's your core values, whether it's a cultural situation or even a faith, the situation around your faith, you would be surprised how many people will really respect you when you step up and speak something from your heart that you really believe is true. And like I used to always tell my children, especially when they were young, but I still remind them even now, and that is, it's not always what you say, but how you say it. So as you're speaking your truth, just always be kind and be considerate of other people as you're sharing your truth, but don't be afraid of your truth. And there's something about the older we get, the easier that becomes. But it's okay, even when you're younger, to be able to do that. But just remember, be kind. Number 8, celebrate your freedom. Now, you might say, well, what does that mean? And what does that have to do with Season of Greatness? Well, celebrate your freedom is all about the fact that you're even free to be able to do this. Today, in this world, there are still places where women are restricted on some of the things that they want to do. And that's sad, which means we have sisters all around the world that are still in situations where they're not able to pursue what their greatness is. They have some hindrances that are holding them back. So we have to celebrate the fact that we can make a difference and that we can do things that hopefully will also be a light to those around the world and encouragement not to give up. So celebrate the fact that we can do this today, and that we have opportunities, just like we're celebrating right now on this webinar, of sharing information with others so that we can all become our best selves. Number 9, embrace your mentorship. I believe that we should all help others. Mentor someone. Always lift as you climb. Take someone with you, and also remember that somebody, even if it's indirectly, has helped you get to where you are today. None of us are an island. We're not standing out here by ourselves. We've had help, and so we need to help others. And as you're looking at your season of greatness, I've had some women in some of my workshops who are like, Wendy, I'm good. I'm not really, I'm at a place now in my life where I'm not really trying to make more money, or I'm not trying to be the best, at this anymore, because I've done my share. Well, I say to them, okay, then teach what you already know to someone who's coming behind you. So again, no matter where you are in your journey of your season of greatness, you can help someone else through mentorship. Number 10, become globally minded. And what I mean by that is, just like I said before, we have women all around the world. We're in a global environment. We have ways that we can help one another in so many different aspects. And you might think, well, I'm happy right here, wherever it may be that you live. But with technology, we're still able to touch the world, the globe as a whole. So think about how you can make a difference with your season of greatness, even on a global level. And then finally, I talk about what's next. When we look at our season of greatness, there's always a next. We should always be growing. We should always be learning. We should always be helping. So you've never finished. It's never complete. You're always on a journey. So even if you get to a place where you feel like you have reached your greatness in your seasons of life, help somebody else reach theirs. And always figure out how you can continue to learn. I want to leave you with something that I read not too long ago, and it's a piece about what a confident woman embraces. And it goes like this. A confident woman, she knows what she wants. She's not afraid to ask for what she wants. She knows her expectations. She doesn't give up easily. She doesn't complain. She always has gratitude in her heart. She understands that age is just a number, and she keeps on going and growing. She embraces being a woman. She doesn't play games. She doesn't put down or belittle other women. She knows when it is time to walk away, and that goes back to understanding your various seasons of life and when it's time to let one go. She loves herself, and most of all, she's kind and helps others. So I encourage you to always be in a place where you want to get to that next step that helps you with your season of greatness. Because let me tell you, it's amazing, and it's actually fun. And I enjoy sharing this information with women all over the world. Thank you, Renee, for having me as your guest today. This is exciting, and I look forward to possibly even hearing some feedback from some of your viewers.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, with that said, I would love to make sure that all of our, I think there's a lot of background. So thank you all for being available for this. And as we've learned, your season of greatness is now. Do not wait for things to change in your life before you implement a lot of these wonderful things that Wendy has taught us. I took my list and got some great lines I'm going to borrow from you, too, to share with you. So thank everyone for listening in on this. Now, Wendy, you also teach some courses. You want to talk a little bit about that and how that works for some of our attendees?
Sure. Your guests can definitely go to seasonofgreatness.com and learn more. I'll share some information with you afterwards that you can share with them as well. Our next course will not be until July 20th. But there's also one-on-one opportunities and so forth, and that's why if they go to the seasonofgreatness.com website, they can learn more about how I can be of service to them and hopefully help them reach their season of greatness. I love what you said, Renee, about our season of greatness is now. It's right now, and we have to embrace it and just pull it in and just take hold of it.
Absolutely, and thank you for all of your wonderful tips and tricks. So looking forward to implementing these right away.
Thank you.
Again, when this goes out, we will include your contact information for anyone who wants to reach out to you. So.
Wonderful.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for your time, Wendy.
Fantastic. Thank you. Okay. Bye-bye.